everybody. Robert here. Another beautiful, kind of crisp, cool winter's day here in Charlottesville. Heading out to National Harbor to play a session. That's a little bit of a change of plans. I was planning on heading out to Maryland Live to show you guys that place and get in a 1-2 session there. But a friend of mine is in town. He's in DC right now. You guys probably know him. His name's Zach Resnick. He's from the Just Hands Poker podcast. If you guys aren't familiar with that podcast, you should definitely check it out. But he's in town, so we're going to meet up at National Harbor. So I'm going to head out there early and get in a 1-3 session. Still going to show you guys Maryland Live, just going to do it later in the week. But looking forward to today's session. I'm going to experiment with playing a little taggier than I normally play. I've kind of loosened up my play lately, and I wonder if it's had a negative effect on my game. So I'm actually going to try and play a little tighter today, just kind of as an experiment, see how that works out. So yeah, let's get on it. See you out there. Just got to MGM a few minutes ago, hanging out in this really cool lounge they have here by the lobby. It's nice during the day. The bar's closed, so it's completely empty. So it's a good place to wait while I'm waiting to get into a game. 30 seconds after I got into the casino, security approached me about filming in the gaming area, so I'm gonna have to be a little careful about that, I guess. But yeah, so just waiting to get into a game. I'm about 10th on the list, so not too bad. Definitely much better than 72nd like I was in the last session. So shouldn't be too long, and hopefully have a good session today. Already got in a game, only took about 10, maybe 15 minutes, so much better than last session, so feeling good about that. I can't tell if the table's great or not. There's a couple regs I can tell. What's also nice I've noticed with these tables, there's at least almost one player every session that's never played before, so that's always good to see. Not just because they're easy to beat, which is nice, of course, but also just good to see the community's growing. It's always good to get new players in there. So yeah, let's see how we do. I'm gonna experiment today with playing a little tighter than normal. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Taking my first break here. Things are going okay. I'm up about 140 right now, which is real good for only playing just a little bit over an hour. One frustrating thing, I'm in the 9 seat, and the guy in the 8 seat is just fucking invading my space so bad. He's doing all kinds of things. He's laying on the rail of the table. He keeps bumping into my chips. He stands up for like half of every hour, and which is just frustrating because you've got to really protect your cards because he's kind of hovering over me. It's just fucking driving me nuts. He just busted in a hand and had to rebuy. And I actually felt bad because I felt so good about him, like there was some justice in the world. But that's ridiculous. I shouldn't be thinking like that. Anyways, gonna get back in there and try to grind out a good win today. In this hand here, I've got pocket trays, and I just wanted to kind of take the opportunity to share with some of the newer players out there some tips I've learned about playing small pocket pairs like these. When you're playing a tight range pre-flop, small pocket pairs like these will actually make up a pretty significant part of your pre-flop range, along with suited connectors, Broadway cards, those type of hands. So it's good to have some sort of plan on how to play these hands in advance. With small pocket pairs like these, like say 9s and smaller, especially really small ones like these trays, most of the time you're going to need to flop a set to realize any value from them. Here's an important tip when you're set mining with small pocket pairs. Make sure that to check your opponent's stacks and kind of be aware of their playing style, because you need to make sure that you're getting the implied odds to make playing these hands worthwhile. The rule of thumb I was taught is 10x. So you have to realistically believe that you'll win around 10 times your pre-flop call to continue. So if you have to call $10, that means that you need to believe that you'll realistically that you'll win $100 at least when you flop your set. That doesn't simply mean that if your opponents have $100 in their stacks, that it's okay to call, but that actually is a pretty good place to start. If it's 10 to go and you look over and see that your opponent only has 30 bucks left in his stack, then you're just simply not getting the implied odds you need to play the hand. But you also got to consider how your opponent plays. And if it's reasonable to think that if you do flop a set, you'll be able to realize that value in your hand. So in this hand here, I've got pocket trays in the cutoff. I limp in along with 3 other players, so four to the flop here. If I was first into this pot, I might raise this hand, or if I was in early position in a game with some significant pre-flop action where I didn't think I'd be able to see the flop reasonably cheap, I might fold this hand. But when the table is pretty passive pre-flop, like this one was, I like to limp in and hope to flop a big hand, especially one that's well hidden, which is what happens here. The flop comes 9-8-3 rainbow, a pretty great flop for this hand, about as good as we might hope for. It's a really dry flop. There's no flush draws there. There are straight draws for hands like Jack 10 or 6-7, but that shouldn't worry us much. In fact, we don't mind having those kind of draws here. Most of the time, those draws just won't get there, and those players will just be donating money to us as they call down our bets, trying to make their hands. Because the board is so dry, this is a good opportunity to slow play. Now, when slow playing, you really need to stay aware of board texture. This is a dry board, like I said, so this is a pretty safe place to slow play our hand here. But if the board had a wetter texture, say it came Jack of clubs, 10 of clubs, 3 of clubs, or something like 3 of hearts, 4 of hearts, 5 of clubs, those are boards that we definitely don't want to let our opponents see free or even cheap turns and rivers. We're going to want to bet or raise those flops, planning to give our opponents either poor pot odds for drawing or forcing them to give up the hand right there. But like I said, this is not that board. This is a perfectly good board to slow play, and that's what I do. The big blind, he bets $6 into this $12 pot. The middle position player folds. I, of course, call, and the button folds. I would have liked to have had at least one more player come along. And with such a small bet by the big blind, I would have thought that they would have continued with a pretty wide range there, but oh well, they didn't. So we go heads up with the big blind. The turn comes a queen, which isn't a bad card at all. Yeah, the Jack 10 has now made their straight, but Jack 10 only makes up a really small part of our opponent's range here. It's a pretty good card, actually, because our opponent has a lot of marginal hands with queens in it that he may have taken a stab at the pot with earlier, and those hands, of course, have now improved to top pair. Hands like king, queen off, Queen 10, Queen 9, Queen 8, those are all in his range, and he might think those are good now, and he may have trouble getting away from those hands when we bet or raise. So all good. This time the big blind checks, and I bet just a little more than half pot. I bet $15 into the $24 pot. I don't want to make a huge bet here and blow him off kind of a marginal hand, but I also want to bet big enough to realize some value if he does have a hand like top pair now. He calls, and we go to the river, $54 in the pot, and the river comes a 4. The big blind checks. Again, I want a value bet here. The 4 is a great card, but I want to be careful with my sizing. I want to bet big enough to get some value from the hand, but I also don't want to bet so big that he folds kind of marginal one pair hands. So I decide I'm betting just a little less than half pot. I bet 25 into 54. I maybe could have gotten away with a little bit of a bigger sizing here, maybe $30, $32, but I feel like my hand is pretty face up at this point, and it's not going to take much for the big blind to just dump his hand here. So So I bet 25 into 54. The villain, he thinks about it for a bit, and then in a kind of very resigned way, he says that he's just curious, which is exactly what we want to hear, and he throws in 25 bucks. Of course, my hand is good, and we take down the pot. Easy game. So just taking a break here, getting some coffee. I'm still up about 120, 140 maybe. But the table's changed a little bit. One of the players who's been there for a while has just started playing kind of nutty. He's playing really bad hands, going to the river with nothing, and kind of betting and raising the whole way. So he's a little difficult to play against, but it's nice to have the action and the money splashing around. I haven't really tangled with him at all, just because I haven't really gotten any hands. I've been a little card dead. I'd like to get in there and splash around with him. He's definitely donating a little money. I'd like to get a little bit of that. So we'll see. Maybe I'll start getting some hands I can play.
They'll fire Chris too. You guys.
All right, taking another break here. Having a really good session. Not so much because I'm winning, which I am, but I'm enjoying the game much more than I often do. I was listening to a podcast yesterday with a guy named Simon Jonas, I think his name was, founder of some kind of training site. I think it's called Poker Sprout. He was saying that everybody's trying to push this one particular way of playing, and that there's other ways of playing, other ways that you might be more comfortable with, that more fit your style. Essentially his theory, just that there's more than one way to skin a cat, which is good because skinning cats is very important, and it's nice to have multiple ways of doing that. But anyway, I'm playing a much tighter style than I've been playing the last few sessions, or the last few months really, and I'm just so much more comfortable with it. I know that I might be leaving a little money on the table, but I think there's a lot to be said about being happy while you play and being comfortable and confident, and this kind of tight style just kind of suits me more, I think. Don't get me wrong, I'm still playing much more aggressive than most of the players at the table. It's just I'm a little tighter pre-flop than I've been playing, but still very aggressive post-flop when I've got a hand or when I'm trying to bluff somebody. So yeah, it's going really good. Gonna get back to it. That's going to do it today for poker. Plus 330, so a real good day, but not just because of the wind. It was a real fun day. Like I mentioned earlier, it was great playing a little bit tighter. I just felt so much more comfortable playing the game. I'm definitely going to explore this a little more. Also, it was great seeing my friend Zach from the Just Hands Poker podcast. The guy's awesome. Make sure you check out the website, Just Hands, and his podcast. Really great stuff. As always, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.